welcome to another episode of Cowboys and Indian, the footballing show. Please hit like and subscribe. So as it stands today, we've had 5 weeks since we launched our first show. We had about 250 hours of viewing. So thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in. Really do appreciate it. And we hope you've had some fun with us. So this is normally the point where I introduce the pundits and starting off with the singing cowboy. But however, Stu's not here, unfortunately, so we send our best to him. He's a little bit under the weather today. But we've got super champion standing, the one and only Charlie from our show 310 to Old Trafford. So today's going to be a right mix-up because you've got West Ham and Manchester United and Arsenal on the same show. I also like to introduce our resident singing cowboy, Duggy.
Oh, the Deadwood stage come riding over the hill. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Actually, what film?
That's where we all should have done yeehaw at the same time. But thank you, Duggy, for that. And it's with great pleasure to introduce Mark, who's a very dear friend of Duggy's. But again, for Mark's sins, he's an Arsenal supporter. Mark, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm good, thank you very much.
Awesome. So, Mark, as we do all the time, how did it start? How comes you're an Arsenal supporter?
It was a kid at school who used to go all the time with his dad, and he asked me to go with him, and that was in 1974. But before that, I followed him on the telly. So I jumped at the chance to go with him, and it's been that way ever since.
Right, wow. And if you think back now to, because I know we've spoken to quite a few fans. One of the Leicester guy, his first game was when he was 3 years old, so he's no chance in remembering that game. But if you think back, when was your earliest memory of attending a game? Attending the game, yeah.
Oh, that will be Arsenal versus Manchester City, believe it or not. That was before all the money, obviously. And Arsenal won 4-0. Brian Kidd scored 2 and John Radford scored 2.
Great striker, John Radford, big old number 9.
Yeah, proper striker. We could do with him now.
What year would have that been?
That was 74.
Wow.
Yeah, 1974.
I was 3.
He just won the double.
I was 3 years old.
With Radford in the team.
Yeah, and of course, my first, obviously, loving the Arsenal was the double and Charlie George's goal against Liverpool.
2-1 in the final.
Yeah, I've done that celebration every time I scored a goal in the street.
Hey, I heard the name Charlie George several times when I was during my youth, but I never saw him play. And I'm assuming Charlie George played in the 70s. Yeah, he was a cult hero at Arsenal, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your memories about Charlie Duggy?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Have you frozen?
Froze, yeah.
Hey, have you got any memories?
I've got problems with the old pipes, don't I? I have to nip out and have a little pee-pee.
Charlie George, Duggy, do you remember him?
I do, because when he scored the goal, he laid down, and he was a very controversial character because a lot of people said he shouldn't have done it. He sort of lay flat on the floor and put his hands out like that, and he went on to play for Derby. But he was a really good, skillful player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was an excellent player. Yeah. I always remember we played Sheffield Wednesday in the semi-final of the Cup, and we was waiting outside Hillsborough. My uncle was linesman that day, and Charlie George came out the ground, got on the coach, lit a fag, and opened a can of beer.
Yeah, wow. He was like Frank Worthington, who we spoke about the other day. What was the other one? I can't. Curry, weren't it? Tony Curry. Rodney Marsh. It was all that era, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rodney Marsh.
Oh. Sorry, gentlemen.
The funny part about that 71 double winning team was the manager who got made manager in 66 was Bertie Mee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Bertie Mee was actually a physiotherapist. And when he got named manager, all the Arsenal, or literally all the pundits was going, why on earth are they making a physiotherapist the manager? But he was really successful, wasn't he?
Wow.
Because Tottenham had done the double in 61, and you were the second team to do the double in 71, wasn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, Tottenham done it in black and white.
And that was the last time they done it. Right, there you go. When TVs were black and white. I fell off the back of a lorry. Is that right, Duggy? Yeah.
Colour TV was not.
Colour one was. Sorry, yes. Mark, what was your most memorable game? So, in your imagine now, you've been to go.
Oh
this,
God!
You know, all the 70s, 80s to where
so
you are
many
now.
memorable games. I think one of the first most memorable games was the 79 Cup final against Man United. We were 2-0 up, and Manchester United scored 2 in 3 minutes. I think it was 80 and 82 minutes they scored. And then Alan Sunderland scored in injury time to make it 3-2. So it was 3 goals, I think, in the last 7 minutes.
McElroy and Gordon McQueen got a Man United goal.
Yeah.
Mate, my favourite Arsenal game, my father-in-law, you knew George, didn't you? George was a massive Spurs fan, Charlie's granddad, obviously, and we used to watch the TV in the games. And even as a Spurs fan, in the 88-89 season, when you needed to beat Liverpool by 2 clear goals to win the title, everybody at that point wanted Arsenal to do it. And Michael Thomas got through in injury time, and he scored the goal, and you won the title. And me and George watched that.
1 minute, McMahon.
Steve McMahon.
1 minute, yeah.
Great. Rocky Rocastle was in that team, another great player.
Yeah, wonderful.
Sadly missed.
Yeah, sadly missed. And you mentioned Charlie George earlier on. We've all got when we were young, we all grew up with cult heroes from our teams. For me, it was Sir Trev, obviously. But who was your cult hero, Mark?
Liam Brady.
Yeah.
Ooh. We all remember Liam Brady. Did he play for West Ham as well, didn't he, Dougie? Short stint.
2 seasons. We only had him for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Beautiful left foot.
Yeah, very good.
I think Bergkamp was the best player to ever play for Arsenal.
But you rate him that much?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even more than Henry.
There you go.
I mean, in that Invincible team, you had some good players in the Invincible team.
Yeah. I still think Bergkamp was the greatest. Had a mean streak as well.
Yeah, you're losing.
Don't you think they all needed that though? The forwards of that. Charlie mentioned this earlier on. We've done one on as the art of defending dead, and Charlie was saying like all the strikers of yesteryears had a mean streak in them, and all the centre halves. I mean, you know, your back four even got a mention in the full Monty, didn't it?
Yeah.
And with the likes of Adams, Bold, Winterburn, and Dixon, they were legendary, weren't it? Putting their hand up together. It was done by a dance choreographer, weren't it? It was. You just knew they were going to do it, like and. But you had hard players. You remember Peter's Story? I'll go back to Peter's Story. He was a lunatic, Peter's Story.
Yeah.
He ended up running a brothel and he got done for having drugs in him. He went away.
Yeah, and he also got done for forging gold sovereigns.
Yeah, went away. He was a lunatic in the day.
Yeah.
Great player, though. Hard.
Yeah.
Peter.
Hard as nails, yeah.
When you go back to your time, when you were younger, what's your most memorable moment with Arsenal?
It's funny, really. Mark's memory of the cup. I keep saying it every time I say it. You know, when you played out as a kid, whoever was one team, you picked another team. You'd always pick a successful team, and you would be 2 or 3 of their players. So hypothetically, if I was an Arsenal player, you know, and I was 6 of us playing, I say, right, I'm John Radford, and I'm Frank McClintock, and the goalie. But the 70, definitely that 70 final, because the FA Cup final was, especially in the UK, was probably bigger than the Champions League is now. Literally every team at the beginning of the season wanted to get to the FA Cup final. So for Charlie George to score in that well, and they had a really good team, and that Bertie Mee was really, really successful. And I think it was Terry Neal who come after him, who built on the success.
Yeah, Terry Neal.
Yeah. They've always had a good team. If you look at Arsenal, they're the longest serving team in the best league, and they only got relegated once from a league, which was in 1913. So apart from Everton, I think they're the longest serving team in the top flight of football, and only been relegated once in the whole of their history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never played in
47 trophies. 47 trophies shows you how consistently well they are as a club to win trophies. You're very quiet, Charlie. Is that because of the rivalry between Arsenal and Man United?
No, I'm just listening. I mean, you were talking about Liam Brady and Charlie George, and that was before my time. That was, for me, you know, Arsenal. I mean, even the George Graham era I was a bit too young. You know, for me, it's that rivalry with Man United and Arsenal under Ferguson and Wenger. Don't think anything will ever beat it. I mean, we absolutely hated each other. It was, yeah.
Roy Keane and Viera.
Roy Keane and Viera,
Oh.
yeah, they proper had it, didn't they? But it kind of it made the rivalry even better, didn't it? I mean, both teams played good football. I think, you know, you go back to, obviously, I mean, Wenger did change English football, definitely. He'd come in. I mean, there's a clip, I think, Ferguson, he's in the dressing room and we're playing Arsenal. And he was like, look, we can't outplay them. They do play better football than us, so we're going to beat them this way. You know, they really did. He did a lot for English football, and it was a great rivalry. I mean, I don't think we're rivals now. I think that kind of died 2009, 2010. I don't really see that Man United. It's always a big game, absolutely. But in terms of a rivalry, I don't see it as that anymore.
Arsene Wenger revolutionised football. I remember Ray Parlour, they interviewed him once, and when he come in and he started all the different stretches, but especially the diets, and they was at the hotel before the game, and he was actually writing down what they had to eat. And I remember Ray Parlour saying he was absolutely starving, and he rung down and ordered a spaghetti bolognese, and Wenger brought it to the door and went, if you eat this, you're finished. And so, like, he really changed. I think you're right, Charlie. He revolutionised football, Wenger, for the better as well. Mark, and I was jumping about a bit. There's a question I've been wanting to ask you, really, right? Because of Charlie said the rivalry. Sorry, Tone.
Sorry.
When Man United was winning everything, all the crowds used to stand up and sing, stand up if you ate Man U, didn't they? You know what I mean? Now, ever since these podcasts like we're doing have started, and you've got your own Arsenal fan TVs, I think Arsenal was the first ones who really started the fan with that Robbie and everything. All of a sudden, there's a lot of people don't like Arsenal. And I don't think it's to do with the team, if I'm honest with you. I think it's more to do with these people you've got in the podcast.
Absolutely.
And Arteta's not coming across as friendly as well, is it? Because it just seems weird that all of a sudden, when you speak to people, I hope they lose. You know, like now, people are glad you've lost the title. Have you thought anything, the reason why that is all of a sudden?
I haven't got a clue, but obviously it's another podcast, but AFTV is the most unpopular fan show. I mean, you've got Robbie, who's a Luton Town fan anyway, and I think it was against Man City up there 2 years ago. They were chased off from outside the ground when they were trying to interview Arsenal fans. But they are very, very unpopular amongst the masses at Arsenal.
Why do so many people go out there then, Mark? Because it's my beef, you know, it really is a lot. You know, there's a couple, I'm not going to name their channels on here, but it's almost like they're happy when you lose. So as they can rant, you know, like that guy, I'm not going to give him any scope on here as well. It's a Tottenham guy, isn't he? You know the one I mean, didn't you? You know what I mean? EX, he starts to be chat. And they're really glad. So I was like, just go on to some form of a rant. So to me, they're not real fans if you'd rather your team lose for views. But I just don't get where this, it's almost like a hatred of Arsenal, like Man United when they was winning things all of a sudden. And I'm sure it's all these podcasters.
I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I don't know whether I think a lot of it stems back to George Graham and 1-0 to the Arsenal. We were so defensive and all that. A lot of the hatred comes from there, I think. But I don't really know, mate. Don't really know.
He got done, didn't he? He got caught taking a bribe, didn't he, off Rennie Haig or something, didn't he? And that
was the agent.
One of the agents.
Yeah. It was a £300,000 bribe, which in today's money is nothing. And it was evidently, if you read George Graham's book, The Glory and the Grief, it was part of every deal that ever went through. Was a backhander to the agent.
Yeah.
And when you read his book, you could imagine that there was a few other managers that was crapping themselves a bit. And one of them was a certain Man United manager, because him and Graham were quite close.
Best mate. Yeah, when he went down to negotiate for his contract, he wanted X amount of money, and they went, "You're not getting it, Arsenal." And he went, "Well, I want the same as what Ferguson gets at United." And they went, "Well, do you know what he gets?" He went, "Because there's a copy of his contract." So Ferguson had to give George Graham a copy of his contract, and he got the same money as Ferguson.
There were certain players, I can't remember who now. One of them was the same agent, and he was offered to Arsenal, and Arsenal said, "No, we don't want him." So George Graham got on to Ferguson and said, "We've got this guy's been offered to us. We think he'd suit your team." So Ferguson went in for him. I can't remember who the player was now. But evidently all these deals and backhanders was part and parcel of every deal that went through. It's just, I think it was just those times, wasn't it?
I think it's gone on from time immemorial, Mark. I think, like, once the agents get involved, we've got, a certain agent who supplies most of the players to our club for some unknown reason. And you know what? A lot of the money now goes missing in crypto, so they don't have to pay tax on it. I mean, Brian Clough, when he went and gave Teddy Sheringham,
that's an allegation.
A bag of money,
allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Brian Clough went up and gave Teddy Sheringham a bag of money in a service station up the M1. Well, he's wrote it down, and Teddy Sheringham's wrote it down. It's not any sort of a lie. It's a load of pound notes in a bag.
Now, Charlie, you was about to say something earlier, unless you've forgotten.
Yes, sorry, my thing was a little bit behind for a minute. It was about the YouTube channel things. I think with Arsenal, I think the reason why that took off, that channel, was because it's come about just as, Arsenal had not won anything for about 9 years, hadn't they? And I think the fans were starting to turn on Wenger quite badly. And I think that's what made those videos explode the way they did. I think that's what I remember. I mean, it was, every time Arsenal lost, I remember, going to work, sticking AFTV on, and just listening to just the rants. And I mean, obviously for rival fans, it was quite funny, but yeah, I'm sure with most Arsenal fans that don't go on social media, they're probably like, "Oh my God." But I think it was around about there.
Charlie, if you look, Arteta is second in the league, Mark, right? Now, at the start of the season, only one team can win that league. Is second a bad season for you, really?
I don't think so personally, but
no.
Everybody's calling Arsenal butlers. Well, most teams would like to be second in the league.
Yeah.
It's just, it was just, I think this last bit of not buying a striker is down to the Cronkies rather than Arteta. We could have had, I mean, to be truthful, I would have had Rashford, but we never even went in for him.
Yeah.
I think he would have done well at Arsenal under Arteta.
I was shocked you didn't go in for him. I think he would have suited you. I mean, I do think this year you seem to have changed your style of play, and it hasn't helped.
No, it's going forward. It's become so slow, so predictable.
Yeah, which I don't get, because last year, I think it was, I can't remember if it was the last 18 games or the last 16 games, but you won all of them, and then you drew one and lost one. I mean, that is stunning form. And then it just seems like this year he changed it. And I can't for the life of me think, right, your defence was already solid enough. I mean, look, every great side for me needs a world-class goalkeeper, world-class centre-back, central midfielder and a forward. I don't think David Raya is a world-class keeper. I do think Saliba is a top defender. I don't think you've got a world-class central midfielder, not yet with Declan Rice anyway. And you just haven't got that striker.
We haven't got a striker at all.
It doesn't seem to want to play Sterling, Mark, either, does he? Sterling don't get much game time, does he?
He was always a backup. Sterling. He was always going to be.
You'd be better off with me up front than Sterling.
You did score an hat-trick once for us when we played.
4 or scored.
Is it 4? Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we've got a lad on the bench. I can't remember his name now. Young lad. And he bangs them in for the reserves for fun. The last 3 games, he's sat on the bench and he hasn't got on. For the life of me, I can't remember his name.
And Wary, isn't it?
No, not Namwari. Not Namwari or Skelly. But there's another young striker.
Okay.
Obi something. But
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
that's what I was going to say. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mark, a lot of these channels are calling for Arteta. I mean, there's a young black guy. Do you watch that tie? Like,
No,
it don't matter what, doesn't matter how Arsenal play.
No,
right, he sticks up.
Too mad.
And but a lot of them are calling for Arteta's head. Do you want him to go?
No. Who are you going to replace him with?
Oh, I agree. I don't think he should go. I think he's had a good season.
Very good.
It's just I don't think it's him. What's the Villa striker's name?
Watkins.
We put in a silly bid for him. But I don't think the board would let him have any more money. I think they're worried about financial fair play. And we're not prepared to give 8 and 10-year contracts like some of the other teams are doing now. Which to me,
I think that's being stopped now, Mark. That's being taken down to a maximum of 5-year contracts to try and stop that.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, can I just, mate, I could be here all day talking to you, but there's something that's really deep in our heart at the moment. We had a guy on here the other week trying to sort out concessions which got lost at West Ham with the ticket prices, especially for children, especially for pensioners, and existing season ticket holders being, their prices going up. Could you roughly tell us what the prices are at Arsenal before the league games and the cup games and the Europe games?
It all depends.
Can you buy them?
They're all graded. So you'd have Arsenal, Man United, Arsenal, Tottenham. Most of the London derbies will be a grade A game. And you're looking at a minimum price of £67. And
67, right.
Yeah, that is, unless you can get in the family enclosure with kids or whatever, then it's cheaper. But I've been a silver member now. I let my season ticket go 1990 something, and then I became a silver member. And the silver membership was you could apply for tickets 2 months in advance for a game. And when we was at Highbury, you got 38,000 crowd. Silver members had 8,000 tickets. And there were 20,000 silver members. So the chances of getting a ticket was always good because not everybody is going to apply for a ticket every game. Then when we left Highbury, went to the Emirates, it's 60,000. They upped the amount of silver members to 30,000. Still only 8,000 tickets. Right? So your percentages is becoming less of getting a ticket. That is now a 60,000 crowd. Silver membership allocation is now 1,800.
Oh, you got no chance.
So I pay 50. I've still got my 2 boys' memberships. So a membership now is £55 a year. So we're paying 165 quid for the joy of not getting a ticket. I've won. So you entered a ballot. I've won 2 ballots this season.
Wow.
That's all I've won is 2 ballots. And I think they've got a thing where if you enter 8 ballots and you don't win or you don't get a ticket, then the next one you're guaranteed a ticket for. But when you've got that many members and just 1,800 tickets, it's just not good. It's just, but they do not want the likes of me, because I leave the pub 10 minutes before kickoff. I don't go to the shop, spend a couple of £100 on kits. They want the tourists. They want the people that are going to spend the money in the ground. And we have heard a rumour. I don't know. I can't say this is true because people have been complaining that when people are giving up their season tickets, that they're not going up the list. Or they're not getting any closer to getting one.
Right.
And we believe that they're reducing the number of season tickets so they can have more tourists. They want the guy that comes over on holiday that's got 2 kids. He goes to the shop. He spends a couple of £100. He's foolish enough to go in the ground and spend 18 quid on a burger and £8 for a pint. Whereas normal supporters won't do it. I won't buy a drink in the ground. I won't buy food in the ground. I refuse. It's not because I'm tight. It's just because I refuse to pay those prices. So I'm someone that they don't want.
Like everywhere, Mark. I don't think you're the only one.
Can I ask, Mark, do you think the stadium turned out to not worked out as well as Arsenal thought it would be?
No, I hate it. I hate the Emirates and everything it stands for.
Yeah, because
yeah, it's a soulless bowl, fella. Absolutely soulless bowl.
I think as well, it never helped the team, did it?
No, never ever.
Like, because you think, you're an invincible team, and then, like, you were building the stadium then, you kind of, Arsenal fans must have felt like I think you reached the Champions League final, didn't you? Like, like a couple of seasons after and stuff. You must have felt like, the team was there, everything was there, and then with this stadium, it just felt like all that was the excuse, wasn't it? That they had to sell players. You sold half your team to Man City, didn't you, when they got taken over?
Yeah, and I don't like the Emirates. It's a soulless bowl. And we was at a game one day, and I had a fella sitting next to me, and he said, "Can you tell me which team's Arsenal?"
Oh my gosh!
I'm standing there going,
"That's terrible."
All my mates have been season ticket holders for years. They're all in the pub because they can't get a ticket. They just don't care about the fan base. I mean, you've had
it's money.
You've had a group of young lads over the last few years, teenagers and early 20s. They call themselves the Ashburton Army, and they've been trying to create an atmosphere up one end of the ground. And the club used to guarantee them 150 tickets per game. Last year, the club reduced that to 50 tickets for the Ashburton Army. So you've got a group of 50 now who are trying to create an atmosphere. And I'll go, but I'll perhaps go 2 or 3 times a year. I'll go up there, I'll go to the pub, and I'll meet the fellas that I've always gone to football with, and I don't go to the game. I watch it in the pub. If you go to any pub on the Holloway Road, they're full up with the fans that can't afford to or can't get a ticket for the new stadium.
Wow.
That's it, ran over.
Do you think, Mark, though, this is the way in general that football's doing? We had a really lovely guy on last week, an Evertonian called Tommy, and like they're going into just under a 54,000 seat stadium, and if the council lets them have some standing, it'll add around about another 10,000 fans to the stadium. And we said to him, Tommy, I hope what doesn't happen at West Ham is going to happen to you, that once you get in there, I mean, we know that there's travel agents now selling packages, trips to London thrown in with a Premier League game. So they're going to. And I really hope, because this guy has been a season ticket holder for 43 years. He was really great on here. And I said, Tommy, you got the new stadium, but I'll bet you $1, a tenner to $1, that you're going to have corporate packages in there, and they're going to have more and more. And the old type of fans are going. I mean, we've got a young girl on here. Unfortunately, she couldn't do today because someone had an accident, but she's part of a project group at Birmingham. They're trying to build a 60,000 seater stadium up there. Now, their average crowd is 21,000, a bit like West Ham's when it was at Upton Park. West Ham never had 65,000 fans. And that is going to be the same thing. They've got a big American owner, putting in bundles up there in the infrastructure. Now, Birmingham Council was skint last year, never had any money. They're promising to build a tunnel straight from the links, the train links and everything straight to. But I just think it's the way football's going, mate. And do you know something? I don't think the owners care, Mark. As long as they're getting the pans, they couldn't care less that there's no atmosphere.
No. I think they would do if the stadiums were empty. I mean, that happened, I think, in Italy a few years ago, didn't it? When I remember Juventus playing in front of 500 fans.
Yeah.
And, but you think in something like
COVID happened, it showed how bad football games were when fans weren't there.
But you think about it, in the Bundesliga, I think maximum ticket price is £35.
That's the away ticket over here, and the away ticket is 30 at the moment.
But the chairman of Bayern Munich has said, without the fans, football's nothing.
Yeah,
that is. I totally agree with that. Football is nothing without fans. Football wouldn't exist without fans.
No.
I'd like that,
Mark. Sorry, Duggy.
Sorry, mate.
I was just about to say, Mark, without fans and what you were saying earlier on, and a good boozer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you were saying before, where's your on the Holloway Road? Where'd you go for a beer?
We go to the Islington Bar and Grill, which is a fella that we know. It's his pub. A lot of the pubs have shut down over the years. But being on Holloway Road, there are absolutely hundreds of pubs around the Emirates, which is not like West Ham, is it now? The ground around there, there's nothing at all, is there?
Nothing.
It's like going to a mortuary, going over there. There's, bear in mind, I've got to fly back. Kev Johnson. He flies to Elche. He flies down over here on a plane, goes to Elche and flies home, and it's cheaper than it is from him to come down to Cheshire and go and see a West Ham game. It's 110 is his season ticket per year, prime seats.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Mark,
the other question I was
rivalry, when we were talking about your rivalry with Man United, right? When I talk to Spurs fans, I know you don't really mention it, they always call them Woolwich Stees, right? And I don't swear on the channel, I don't know mention it. Do you hate Tottenham more than, let's say, Man United or Liverpool?
Oh, absolutely. It's inbred in you that you hate Tottenham. Absolutely. The Middlesex swamp dwellers. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. Yeah.
Are they your biggest rivals?
They always have been, always will be. Yeah. Yeah, no,
it's strange the way football's going, but it's like when you lost Wenger. I'm sorry to digress and go back. I couldn't believe at the time that Arsenal wanted to get rid of Arsene Wenger, your most successful manager. But I suppose everything changes in football and style.
Towards the end, Martin, he became so obstinate. He was so myopic that he would not change anything. And we was getting smashed.
Sounds like Moyes.
He was getting smashed by City 5-6-1, and he just wouldn't acknowledge it, and that was... No, he needed to go 2 years earlier than what he did because people started remembering him for his defeats and his excuses.
But just touching on your stadium again, do you know who was the first team to beat you at Emirates?
West Ham.
I know. I knew the answer. I just wanted to put it in there.
And they was the last team to beat us at Highbury as well.
Yeah. Were they? Right. Wow.
I believe so, yeah.
Is that when Sol Campbell walked out at half time?
Oh, I don't know.
It was, wasn't it? I think he...
Who's gone both ways? Because you sort of you forgive Jennings for going both ways, but you didn't forgive Sol Campbell, did you?
No, it was the other way. It was Spurs, wasn't it? Sol Campbell.
Yeah, the other way around. But because you had the affiliation with Pat Jennings, you sort of you forgive him, didn't you?
Who else has done both ways? David Bentley. He could have been magnificent, David Bentley, but he had just such a bad attitude. Who else went both ways? Willie Young. Remember Big Willie?
I do. He brought Paul Allen down in the 1980 Cup final. Paul Allen would have been the youngest player to score 70. He should have got sent off. He was the fullback with, the centre half with David O'Leary, weren't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've always had some great sides. I think you're one of the only teams that's won a trophy in every decade.
Yeah.
There's not many teams that have actually done it. I just feel this year Liverpool have not had the injuries, and Hughes have had the injuries. But as you rightly said at the beginning, I don't think Jesus or Havertz was the answer to your forward problems.
No, absolutely not.
With Jesus, I mean, City wouldn't have let him go if he was that good of a goal scorer. They just wouldn't have. And with Havertz, I think everyone kind of turned around and was like, really? Like 65 mil? The thing with what I tried to think with when you bought Havertz was, under Chelsea, under Tuchel, they was quite a very defensive team. They didn't really play attractive open football. So I thought maybe going to Arsenal, who were a lot more attacking, maybe he would have scored more, but he just isn't a striker, and everyone knew that. The minute you bought him, everyone knew that.
No, mate, you're right.
Let's hope he stays here.
You got to bring big money, mate. I think in the summer, I think a lot of clubs will have to bring big money. The clubs that have come up look like they're going to go down, don't they? So it just goes to prove that if you've got the money to stay up, you will stay up. I mean, Man United, that's another story, Charlie, when we talk about your problems this year, because they don't seem to be getting much better, do they?
No, but then you think so many teams are after a striker, but there ain't that many out there. Like,
where are there world-class strikers in Europe, not just in the Prem, in Europe?
Well, that's what I mean. And the thing is, if you take a chance on a young striker, you're going to be paying 40, 50 million more than they're worth because of potential.
I think young Delac, a few teams will be after him the end of the season, the Ipswich lad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a good striker. I mean, we've took Ferguson on it. We brought him and he won't play him. He plays either right. What's the point in taking the player on loan and not playing him? And then if he gets injured, sling him back. You couldn't care less, could you? Can't see the point.
We had it makes me wonder what happens to a lot of these kids. I mean, we had a couple of seasons ago a striker called Balogun. And for the reserves, he was banging them in. I think he scored something ridiculous, like 48 goals.
Wow.
And he played a couple of first-team games. And then we sold him. And I don't even know where he is now. He's not took off. But I think the difference between the reserves and the Premiership is so vast that 90% of the youngsters don't make it. So you've only got to be... There's only, 1 or 2% that will make it through. Because I thought that Balogun was really going to be something else, but just disappeared. Yeah, I don't know where he went.
Same as Man United. I mean, we had that Adnan Januzaj, he came through, looked like he was going to do something great. Absolutely nothing. I think he's in Spain somewhere now. We had a young Italian striker back in the day, Giuseppe Rossi, looked like he was going to do something. Nothing. It's the step up is hard, and of course it is. Yeah, the reserves compared to the top level has got to be big in it. I mean, you see it with the Championship, didn't you? Like the Championship clubs come up, and you just know the level is just ridiculous. Like it's not just one level, is it? It's like they're going up like 3 or 4 levels, and that's why so many of them go back down because they just can't compete.
Yeah. It's like that striker that we had up till last year, that Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
I think he's a good Championship striker.
He's at Palace now, isn't he? Is that Palace?
Sorry? Yeah,
I think
Palace. He's in Palace.
Palace, yeah.
He scored yesterday, didn't he, against Millwall?
He did, yeah.
But mate, who at the beginning of the season?
At Newcastle.
Isaac, they said, might be going to Liverpool. But who'd have thought at the beginning of the season if any one of our teams would have got offered Chris Wood, would anyone have took him?
Yeah.
No. The answer is no, is it? Do you know, I looked it up before we started here because I obviously wanted to talk about the problems with Arsenal with strikers. And I don't think you've got a problem of attracting big players. I think, you're one of those clubs where they would prefer to go to others. And do you know something? The top scorers in the Prem, or even when it was top, not many of them. When they go, we need a 30-goal a season striker. Hardly any get it. Most players that end up with top striker in him. It's around about the 20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
So really looking at a striker that's going to get you 20 goals, not them 30 goals. Very few and far between. I think Shearer, Phillips, I think Andy Cole once. Not many. Henri. Not many get in the 30s.
Where's your Ian Rushes now?
Yeah.
They used to bang him in for fun, didn't they?
Do you know something, though? He wasn't a great footballer, was he? Ian Rush. If you looked at what he was, he didn't do anything other than do what he was supposed to, like it says on the tin, and just. I mean, I think he went Juventus, didn't he? And he weren't that good at Juventus.
Oh, yeah.
But then he come back to Liverpool.
Talking about memorable games earlier, and that was the League Cup final. I think it was 87, and Ian Rush. Liverpool had never been beaten when Ian Rush had scored first.
I was there, Mark.
I was there that day. Charlie Nicholas scored twice. Yeah, it was red hot, wasn't it, that day?
I remember the song, wasn't it? 1-0 down, 2-1 up, with F. Rush's record up, weren't it?
Yeah.
Mate, I'll tell you one I do remember. I don't know why I remember it. I didn't go to it. At the end of one of the League Cup finals, didn't O'Leary pick up Stevie Morrow and drop him, and he broke his arm in the celebrations at the end of the game?
No, it was Tony Adams. Tony Adams. Yeah. Because Tottenham were singing that Morrow fell off the back of a donkey.
Now, that team had a big drinking culture, didn't it, with Adams and Merson?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, the Tuesday Club. Yeah.
Another good player, Tony Adams.
Do you know, we talk about those League Cup finals. They were always a much, much better atmosphere than the FA Cup final. And the reason was ticket allocation.
Got more tickets, yeah.
League Cup final, you used to get 35,000 each. FA Cup final, it was about 20,000 each. And the rest was corporate hangers on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the League Cup was always 35,000 tickets per club. So the atmosphere was always much better because the right people got the tickets.
Bet you'd take a League Cup now, wouldn't you?
Oh, take anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
People that put down, those are the days that it's all about being a supporter. It doesn't matter if it's the League Cup, the FA Cup. People were popping up West Ham about, oh, you've won the 2-Bob European Cup. As a supporter, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Going to these places, seeing your team win a trophy. There's nothing better. It doesn't matter what trophy it is.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Do you think you've got 100%. To win something soon under Arteta?
I think so. I think he's under pressure to win something soon.
It's all people talk about now, isn't it? It's very almost similar to Pochettino at Tottenham. For me, they had a good side, but you know they was playing well, winning the big games, consistently getting Champions League. But in the end, all people spoke about was they've not won a trophy, and I think it just weighed too heavy on them, and they kind of fell apart, didn't they?
Yeah, that is. I think I can see that happening at us. With the pressure being too much on these youngsters to win something.
Is it just a striker, Mark, you need, you think? Or
no, we need a decent attacking midfielder. Yeah. Thomas Partey's out.
Odegaard played that position, Mark. Don't you rate Odegaard? I don't think he's a good captain, but I do think he's a good player.
This season he's been poor, mate. I don't know what's gone on with him this season, but he's not the same player. Thomas Partey's been fantastic, but he's out of contract in the summer.
Wow.
And I don't know if they're going to offer him another contract because there's still this business going on with Partey about the allegations. That's not been dropped and finished yet.
Right.
Yeah, so...
I think you've missed Saka, though, Mark, after the season, haven't you?
Of course you have. Yeah, any team would miss Saka. Any team. It's kids out of this world. And you've got to remember, he's still only 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is something, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is something. I like that Gabriel Martinelli. Is that
Martinelli, he's played well this year.
Yeah, I like him.
The two youngsters who have come through, Skelly and Namweri. Obviously Skelly got sent off, didn't he, the other week?
He had to. He stopped. He stopped a goal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a lot of Arsenal supporters saying that weren't a sending off. It was a bang on red.
It was a sending off, but it could have been a goal if he didn't do that.
Yeah. But I think that for him, it's a learning curve because I think he was starting to get a little bit cocky.
Yeah.
So
you need that.
He's only young. But Mark, why do you think you've suddenly lacked the pace? Where you used to break and rip teams to pieces. Why is the pace gone out your attacking side?
I don't know. One of the things we don't know how to do is if a team comes to the Emirates and they put 2 banks of 4, we haven't got a clue. There's no plan B. Absolutely no plan B. That's one of our big problems. We don't know how to play against defensive sides.
But you did for the last 2 years.
I was going to say
this year. I don't get it. I mean,
I
feel a little bit sorry for Rice. It's almost like Arteta doesn't quite know how to use him.
Yeah, as an attacking midfielder, he's great, but it's you can hear the frustration in the fans when it's going sideways, backwards, forwards. It drives me potty.
Me too.
And how many times do we come unstuck playing short out of goal? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, ask Tony why. Go on, because he was having a go at me earlier on, saying I'm wrong when I said they shouldn't be doing that.
I was making good TV early on. That's what I was doing. I disagree with Duggy, but I just like Duggy, and Charlie's got an opinion on it as well. This playing the ball out the back bores me to hell. In fact, we showed this video. This show will come out on Wednesday. The Duggy's ramble will come out tonight on Sunday. So just for anyone who's watching, it's the 2nd of March, and on a Sunday we'll be showing the earlier match today. Sorry, the earlier show today, and it was what was it, Duggy? The art of defence.
It's the art
of defence died. Yeah, it's the art of defending died, and with those 2 central defenders moving slightly wide, and then the goalkeeper passes it. And it just backwards, sideways. And then if you look at West Ham, it will end up with Keown moving towards the left, getting more and more pushed out the left. Then he hoofs it up, because he don't know where else to kick it. The midfield saturated, and then the ball comes flying back. He's out of position. We looked at how many goals have been scored by goalkeepers making errors by kicking the ball out. It's just endless there. But, it goes back to that old centre. The old-fashioned centre forward like Chris Woods, you need a point man where you can just relieve that defence, get him to hold the ball up, bring the rest of the team forward, and then try and.
They're not getting a rest time. If you when the goalkeeper gets it straight away, if they want a lot of goal, like we've said, they want goalkeepers to pay as a sweeper, or they want them to roll it out quickly. The players are not getting a rest. So they've run back to defend. They've got the ball. The 2 central midfielders will go out either side, left or right of the box. The 2 wing backs will push up because they want them attacking. They roll the ball out and it's gone. And it's possibly the reason that a lot of players are getting injuries. I think a lot of young players now, they're not going to have the careers like your Bobby Charlton and your Frank McLean going back, Peter Story, although they got tackled. They wasn't knackering themselves the entire game.
Who's Xabi Alonso's team? Charlie, which German team is it?
Leverkusen.
Duggy, what about when we played against Leverkusen? 87 minutes of defending. 87 minutes. Oh,
they called them never losers, didn't they?
Terrible.
But then they got beat in the final by Atlanta, didn't they?
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. So we know all about sitting back and not attacking. It just bores the shit out of me. That's why I was happy for Wales to move on.
Sorry, go on, boys.
This is one of the reasons I think that Saka's got injured, was the amount of minutes that he's played. Even League Cup games and other games. Why is he playing Saka? He was playing every minute of every game. And he's expected to run back and cover. And I think that's one of the reasons he's got injured.
He's an outlet, Mark, isn't he? He's an outlet for the goalkeeper. And if you see Saka, when he invariably cuts in, because he plays like an inverted winger, doesn't he? And he will keep going across the box and shoot, scores a lot of goals. Or he'll give it to Odegaard on the edge of the box, and Odegaard will play a click 1-2 through, and then Saka will go in and shoot again. But don't forget, he's been playing international games and travelling here, there, and everywhere, isn't he? So for someone that young, I just think it's too much. I'm not one of these that think a lot of footballers 2 games a week, if you're lucky enough to be in Europe, because I think players want to play football. But I think the pace of the ball and the goalkeeper's not giving them a breather. Is right, let's get it out, let's catch them. I think it's just catching up with a lot of players. And you do find that there's a lot more injuries. Whether it's the boots, we've had this discussion with Stewart where they wear these silly blades, their slip-ons. When we had our laces, you wrapped them round about 20 times, didn't you? You know what I mean? And
underneath
with the balls, it's all changing. The lightness of the ball. You know, they're saying they're trying to make players not head the ball so much, aren't they? You know, so that's another reason that they're playing more
Ask
football.
Arteta about the ball. You see that?
Complain about that?
No, it was the ball in the. Is it the League Cup?
Yeah,
it's different.
They use a mitre ball in the League Cup. I think they use a Nike one in the Premier League.
I was asked before a game about the ball, and he said, obviously, it's lighter and it swerves a lot more. But the whole thing was spun around. And, of course, opposition fans were saying, oh, Arteta's excuse that they lost was because of the ball. And it's not what he said at all. He was asked before the game, what do you think? He said, don't really like the ball. It spins and moves too much. But it's the same for both sets of players. But the whole thing was spun around, as the press do.
As the media, absolutely.
Arteta's excuse was the ball. But that's really not what happened.
How do you think you're going to get on in Europe, Mark? Who have you got in the next round?
We got PSV on Tuesday.
That's not a bad draw, then. It's not a bad draw.
That's a good draw.
They play the winners of the 2 Madrids.
That's it, yeah. Atletico or Real.
They lost yesterday. They lost to Betis yesterday.
Yeah.
Who did?
On their day, we're capable of beating anyone.
Madrid.
Madrid, yeah, lost 2-1 to Betis, yeah. But Madrid in your Champions League is just a different animal. It's just they just do it, don't they? There is something about that competition with them. They are just a nightmare. Although I do think Atletico, you know, if anyone can a Simeone and Atletico.
If we played Madrid and we had a full strength side and we played the high press, which we're good at, I think we got a good chance of beating anyone.
Mark, who was that Spurs player that in the final you played? He was an old Spurs player. He hit just a long lob shot from the halfway line. And it went in, didn't it? What was his name?
Naim.
And what was the score, the end of the score?
1-0.
Yeah, he didn't shoot, did he? He didn't mean to shoot, did he?
No, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He didn't think he was going to score from there.
That was against David Seaman.
He definitely went for it.
Yeah, I got tear gas that night.
Bloody hell. That goes back a few years.
Yeah.
But you've been in 19 consecutive seasons in the Champions League. For all these Arsenal podcasters, influencers, whatever you want to call them, right? That's good going, mate. Good going.
Under Wenger, they done that, not.
Yeah, no, we did have 2 seasons where we haven't, or 1 season where we didn't play Champions League.
Under Wenger, sorry. Under Wenger, 19 seasons in the Champions League, I mean, mate, I think deep down, a lot of Arsenal fans are probably like you and think, you know, at the beginning of the season, if you're in Europe, we've got a chance of winning 4 things. If we ain't, we've got a chance of winning 3 things. But unfortunately, this year, I think Liverpool had been the strongest, got the strongest squad.
Yeah.
And I think they've been lucky with the injuries where you haven't been.
Yeah.
But second is a good season, mate. If they said to me at the beginning of the season, listen, West Ham are going to come second, I'll go, yes, thank you very much. We'll have that every year. Not it's ever going to happen. But, Mark, I've got a question for you. If you could have any player from the current West Ham team that you would put in the Arsenal team, take anyone you want, who would you have?
Bowen, probably.
Mate, everyone said that. Not one person. No, the Everton guy wanted to check. Me and Tony offered to take him up there in a minibus the next day.
Yeah. And you can have buy one, get one free, can have Soufel with him as well. Apparently, Duggy, though, Moisey does want them both. Looks like they might be coming in the summer take those to Czech
Plus,
players.
they've got no money though, have they, at the moment? Everton, they're another one under the FFP. I mean, I actually think, me and Charlie spoke about this, that when they was dangling down the bottom, when Dyche was, I don't know why, I always think Moyes and Dyche are so similar that I couldn't believe they brought Moyes in for Dyche. But obviously, credit where credit's due. I think he's got something like 13, 14 points out the last 19, so like credit to him.
Unbelievable.
But they've done really well under Moyes. But I think if they'd have gone down, if they'd have stayed around, I think there's one of those where they're one of them teams that could have gone out of existence. I think they was in big financial problems. Everton, big problems.
Yeah.
For that new stadium, yeah. I mean, I'll keep hearing that if Villa don't make Champions League this year, they're in trouble.
He was another one of yours, Mark. Unai Emery, weren't he? Did you not like him as a manager?
I think that the dressing room he had, with the likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, all players that thought they was bigger than the club, I don't think he had a chance, mate.
Yeah.
He's done well at Villa. But Arteta came in and him and Edu, straight away, for one of the first things they did was got rid of Aubameyang. I mean, he signed a £350,000 contract, and after that, he was absolute rubbish. He was terrible. Couldn't be bothered. He was getting his 350 grand a week. And then he was in Spain somewhere, wasn't he, getting a tattoo when he should have been training somewhere. And when he came back, Arteta and Edu outed him. Lacazette. Yeah. And that's when we started playing better, when we got rid of the superstars, as it were.
Prima donnas.
Yeah. That's it. The players that thought they were bigger than the club.
Mark, just so we spoke a little bit about the players, and we spoke a little bit about the managers, but you've also had really good managers as well. I mean, a lot has been spoken about Arteta, but if you had to pick, which was who out of the other managers, who's been your is it the Wengers, or who was your George Graham?
I'd have to say Arsene Wenger until the sort of last 2 or 3 years where he became so obstinate. I thought he was amazing. I mean, the way he changed the face of football with his diets and his training. I think half the Arsenal players had never seen anything like it when he came in. They didn't know what was happening.
Was it Ray Parlour and them guys?
Sorry?
Was it Ray? I think it was. I think I heard a story about Ray Parlour. And if some of the Merson was another one where they used to, he changed the way what they were drinking and so on, because obviously they were drinking more than just water.
Yeah,
especially before match days. Yeah,
I think the problem with Wenger.
Sorry, Charlie, go for it.
I think the problem with Wenger was, I think a lot of fans look back and go, well, he never won a league title back to back, and you never won nothing in Europe. It's kind of held against him a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And he was the one who come up with the phrase top 4 is a trophy.
Yeah.
Because, at one point you had the stadium and everything. Yeah. And so he was like, top 4 is a trophy. But I think not winning those back-to-back title, never winning a Premier League title back-to-back, and, obviously one Champions League final. That was it. When I think you only about 4 semi-finals under him. You lost that UEFA Cup final, didn't you, with Galatasaray? Just struggled in Europe, didn't he? I mean, so did Ferguson. So, we weren't sort of be an end where Ferguson got it right in Europe. But, it was always held against him a bit of Wenger in Europe, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, George Graham was a great manager, but it wasn't good to watch. It wasn't good to watch. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Yeah. That's where the song came from.
Yeah, I remember that. Right. Anything else from anyone else, Duggy? We're good? We're on the nearly on the hour mark.
Listen, like I said, Mark, there is a page going around called Amers United. And if you get a chance to sign it or tell anyone, it's really just for the fans to try and help get the concessions there. And they've done fantastic at West Ham. They've really done it. It's there. If anyone can support them and join up, it's not just for West Ham. They're going all around the country trying to help the game get back for the fans. And now they're going to try and help They're one that they're going to try and work on the atmospheres. A bit like you said, getting sections where people can go in and sing. And I do think, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Mark, when you said like they're just flat now. I think when you go to a game, half of the fun of it was the banter you had with the away fans, weren't it? You know, how quickly. I remember someone, I don't know who was playing, and they was singing Merton Ozil, weren't it? His eyes are offside, his eyes are offside. You know, I mean, kind of songs that people come up with are just hilarious, and I think it's half of the day you come out. I mean, someone said the other day that the West Ham fans were singing something to the Chelsea fans, and they're looking at cameras to try and get them ejected and take their season tickets off of them now. And
it's ridiculous.
Nothing much.
Do you know, over at Arsenal, there's a text messaging service. If the guy in seat 54 is being obnoxious, you can send a text to a number and have him ejected. West
Ham's got the same. West Ham's got it.
What's that all about? Surely football to me, from the area that we was brought up in, Martin, is somewhere where you used to go and vent on a Saturday.
It's control.
You always had a sore throat, didn't you? I mean, I can't shout at football no more because we work on the night. But you used to come out and you could never speak, could you? Your throat had gone and your voice had gone. It was just fun, good fun.
I think Mark's gone.
Yeah,
he's got his gob open.
He may come back. Just touching on the Hammers thing. So we won our case. West Ham backed down. They didn't increase the prices any longer for the season tickets for next year. Concessions have been reinstalled, which is fantastic. But the job's not done, as Duggy said. So, as Hammers United, we're supporting other teams, whether it's teams up and down the Premiership or in the league. So I know Hammers United are working with Fulham. They're working with Aston Villa. They work with Leicester, because it's still the rest of the clubs are all under threat. So, we've got to protect this working class game for working class folk.
It's not working class anymore, Tom. That's gone. Working class, man.
But it's for the fans. I went to the West Ham Brentford game, and I've never been so bored in my life. It was unbelievable. But I felt I couldn't even scream and shout either, because I looked around me and there were. It just didn't seem like there were the West Ham fans that I remember back in the old days of Upton Park.
Charlie, before Mark comes back in, I'm talking about Arteta going. Do you think Amarin survives to the end of the season?
I think he does. I do think he's regretting it, taking the job. But I do think he does. But I think if we are in this same place next year, I think they'll get rid of him. But there's so much wrong at that club. The last thing we need is to find another manager. We just need to stick.
I agree. I think we've got to stick with him.
That is the least of our worries at the moment, changing manager.
Would you swap for Arteta?
Would I swap for Arteta? I don't think Arteta does a better job than what I think anyone with that squad at the moment, we're still losing.
Duggy, that's another show altogether.
Yeah.
I think that's a show. We've revisited Charlie closer to the end of the season.
Getting back to the, he was talking about the fans just now. Went to the Arsenal Spurs game this season, and that's one of the first Arsenal Spurs games I've been to for about 10 years. Managed to get a ticket through the ballot, and we was walking down Holloway Road, and there were people wearing half and half scarves. What is that all about?
God,
please tell me, what is that all about?
Tourists. They are the tourists.
Should be taken out of football immediately.
Oh, mate.
Well, it's nonsense.
Did you buy one, Mark?
If not, Dougie's selling them. He'll sell you one. Dougie will sell you them. He's got a collection. Mate. Right. On that note, thank you very much, guys. Charlie, thank you for stepping in. Mark, thank you very much for being a guest. Really appreciate it. We'd love to have you back as well come the end of the season, because we're looking to do a whole bunch of shows during the summer on the build up to the next season. And Dougie, thank you once again, as always, for your knowledge and your computer brain of football stats. Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for viewing into the show. Please do not forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you. All the best.
Nice to
Cheers.
see you, Charlie.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys. Thanks. Bye.